Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is now just 143 days away from its official release by writer and director J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio. That is all set and ready to end the sequel trilogy and the Skywalker saga itself. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, what's really exciting about Episode 9 is that we do know that this film, at the end of the day, is going to be, well, a revelation film. It's going to be filled with tons of twists and turns, as well as surprises that will lead to a lot of saga-wide implications, which, like I've always expressed, could either be a good or a bad thing for this franchise. It's all a matter of how it's going to be utilized and organized within this movie that will determine how it will resonate with Star Wars fans. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film, and when it all comes down to one of the concept art descriptions, this is where things begin to get very exciting for Episode 9. Now, specifically, what's really intriguing about all of this is that it's described that during the rewrites of the film for the months of November and December of 2018 is when George Lucas was significantly involved with the writing of the script of the second and third acts of this movie. It's described that at some point in the film, within the second act, George Lucas wrote in a piece where Rey explains to both Finn and Poe that she went searching for her family, that in between the events of episodes 8 and 9, Rey had felt a strange presence that is described to be Obi-Wan Kenobi's Force Ghost that guided her to learn more about her parentage. It's described that Rey had visited the planet of Stuon just some months before Episode 9. Stuon is the home world of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and during her time on that world, she discovered some hints and clues about her parentage, and that it was Obi-Wan's ghost that guided her to go there. Additionally, it's said that within the end of the second act, George wrote in a piece of foreshadowing for both characters of Rey and Kenobi that are said to unfold in the third act of the film. So, very interesting stuff, I must add. These are big hints and or indicators that Kenobi and Rey are related in some way, shape, or form, either granddaughter and grandfather, or something else entirely different. Now, I want to go over the home world of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, I'm not quite sure if it's pronounced Stuon or Stu-John. We do know that George Lucas based the name of Obi-Wan Kenobi's home world off of Jon Stewart, so I guess we could, in a way, just go by the name of Stu-John. So, the planet of Stu-John is said to hold many different clues and hints of Reys Parents, and she felt a strange presence some months before the events of Episode 9. She's telling the story to both Rey, or should I say both to Finn and Poe, on board of the Millennium Falcon, just during the events of Episode 9, telling them about her journey to the world of Stu-John. Now, this world, we're not quite sure exactly if it's going to pop up in The Rise of Skywalker, but we do know that the Journey to the Rise of Skywalker books may very well show this, as a lot of those books and novels and comics are really going to fill in the gaps in between episodes 8 and 9. So I'm sure that we're going to learn a little bit more about Obi-Wan's homeworld and how Rey traveled there because she felt the presence of Obi-Wan's Force Ghost, telling her to go in that direction to discover more about her parents. Now, not just that, George Lucas also wrote in a piece within the second act that would serve as a piece of foreshadowing between both Rey and Kenobi that would eventually unfold within the third act of Episode 9 that is said to take fans by surprise. So, like I've always said before in the past, I think a lot of fans are very excited of what J.J. Abrams has, rolled up his sleeves for this movie. We do know that this film has a lot of revelations that are gonna cause a lot of saga-wide implications, which, like I've always said before, could be a good or a bad thing. We do know that Palpatine is back. That's one thing that people have mixed feelings about, because it may undo, how we look at the end of Return of the Jedi of Darth Vader defeating Palpatine once and for all, and now that he's back, somebody else has to take him down. So in this scenario, when she's on board of the Falcon, she's telling the story to both Poe and Finn while they are en route to the jungle world of the Exotic City. And the Exotic City is said to offer a lot of information about the First Order through the Dark Prince. But I move on. What's really interesting about this is that we also know that J.J. Abrams is going to answer exactly why Obi-Wan Kenobi's Force Ghost was reaching out to Rey in the Force-back vision in The Force Awakens, and that there is going to be a lot more to do with that in Episode 9. So that really does have me very curious about this film, and let's not forget this. It really would be quite poetic if Rey did in fact end up being the granddaughter of Obi-Wan Kenobi, fighting up against Kylo Ren, who is the grandson of Darth Vader. Could you imagine the parallels there? You know, both, of course, you know, grandfather and, you know, grandson being, of course, Kylo and Darth Vader, and granddaughter and grandfather being Kenobi and Rey. It would just be perfect. Now, looking at this, I know that a lot of people would disagree with that, and that's fine. There are a lot of people out there that really, you know, just don't like the idea of Rey possibly being a Kenobi or anything around those lines. But these, by far, are the biggest hints and or indicators so far by George and JJ and what they're going to introduce in this film. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Night to moon, we hear them moans again.